Guest. This is one of the happiest moments of my life. And I want to thank each one of you who had a part in selecting me.
A lot has changed since Gone with the Wind was first released in 1940. While Hattie McDaniel did become the first black actor to win an Oscar for her role as Mammy in the film, she also experienced a lot of prejudice. She wasn't allowed to attend the film's Atlanta premiere, nor was she allowed to sit with her white co-stars at the Academy Awards ceremony. How did those co-stars react to the discrimination McDaniel experienced? We don't know what all of them thought, but it's clear that the biggest star of the bunch, Clark Gable, didn't like it. He considered McDaniel a friend. Just how close were they? Watch this video to uncover the truth about Clark Gable's relationship with Hattie McDaniel and about the tragic life and end of Hattie. But before diving into this topic, it's important to understand the early events that shaped Hattie into the woman she would eventually become. When Hattie McDaniel captivated audiences in Gone with the Wind, it appeared as though she had arrived in Hollywood fully formed. However, her early years were marked by tragedy and hardship. Born into a family struggling with poverty, Hattie was the youngest of 13 children born to Susan, with only 7 surviving infancy. Despite these challenges, Hattie herself was malnourished, weighing just over 3 pounds at birth. From the outset, Hattie had aspirations that would change her life. Even as a child, she knew she had star potential, singing and dancing so much that her mother would sometimes pay her a nickel to stop. This early talent paid dividends later on. In her early 20s, Hattie co-founded the McDaniel Sisters Company, a minstrel show venture, with her sister Etta. Though modest in scale, this endeavor laid the foundation for something much larger. As a performer, Hattie possessed a distinctive blend of grace and agility that set her apart. After years of honing her craft through self-produced minstrel shows, she developed a persona that would define her career. This character, resembling her iconic role as Mammy in Gone with the Wind, catapulted her to fame. Yet, before achieving this milestone in film, Hattie faced a heart-wrenching turn of events. If Hattie McDaniel started her career at a young age, she also began her journey into romance early. At just 18 years old in 1911, she married Howard Hickman. However, like many aspects of her life, her first marriage ended tragically. Hickman passed away only 4 years later, leaving Hattie a young widow facing profound loss. Unfortunately, life had more challenges in store for her. Shortly after her husband's death, tragedy struck again. In 1916, her brother Otis passed away, leaving their troupe in financial ruin. McDaniel struggled to find even the smallest acting roles and eventually turned to radio, recording sessions for Paramount Records. This provided some stability until another devastating blow hit. In 1922, with her characteristic optimism, McDaniel entered into a second marriage with George Langford. However, this marriage also ended tragically when Langford died prematurely from a gunshot wound, just as Hattie's career was gaining momentum. The series of hardships seemed relentless. In 1929, Hattie McDaniel faced yet another crushing setback. The stock market crash wiped out her budding entertainment career overnight. At the time, she was performing in Florenz Ziegfeld's Showboat Tour in Milwaukee. When Ziegfeld received the news, it added to McDaniel's mounting challenges. In a sudden turn of events, Showboat ran out of funds to pay its performers, leading to the dismissal of most, including Hattie McDaniel. To make matters worse, the show couldn't even afford to send its cast members back home, leaving McDaniel stranded in Milwaukee with no money to her name. It was a dire situation that forced her to consider drastic measures. With few options available, McDaniel reluctantly took a job as a bathroom attendant at Club Madrid, setting aside her pride and remarkable talents. However, McDaniel's determination and resilience soon came to light. While attending to her duties in the restroom, McDaniel never gave up on her dreams. One fortunate evening, fate intervened when the club's scheduled performers left early, leaving a gap that needed to be filled. McDaniel seized the moment, impressing everyone with her rendition of St. Louis blues. The crowd and her colleagues were captivated, leading the club's owner to offer her a permanent spot on the stage. It was a breakthrough that hinted at even greater opportunities ahead for McDaniel. 2 years later, the Great Depression struck, leading to the closure of Club Madrid for good. However, Hattie McDaniel had already learned valuable lessons and was prepared for what came next. With her savings in hand, she made a bold decision to leave for Hollywood, convinced that her talents were needed in the burgeoning film industry. But her journey to stardom wasn't without its challenges. Upon arriving in Los Angeles, McDaniel found herself cast in various roles as sassy maid characters, most notably on radio as Hi-Hat Hattie. Yet behind the scenes, she struggled with a hidden truth. The meager pay from these roles was barely enough to survive on. To make ends meet, she often took on additional work as a real maid. Little did McDaniel realize, however, that these humble beginnings would pave the way for her breakthrough. In 1937, Hollywood was abuzz with anticipation over the casting for David O. Selznick's monumental film Gone with the Wind. Every white actress coveted the role of Scarlett O'Hara, every leading man dreamed of being Rhett Butler, and every black actress vied for the chance to portray Mammy, the lady's maid. McDaniel, determined and resilient, ultimately secured the iconic role, but the full story of how she achieved this remarkable feat remains largely untold. The competition for the role of Mammy was fierce, with Hattie McDaniel facing off against a formidable opponent. First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt advocated for her own maid, Elizabeth McDuffie, to play the part and personally endorsed her to David O. Selznick. However, McDaniel had a strategic advantage. With years of experience in show business, McDaniel had cultivated influential friendships that proved crucial. Stories abound that Clark Gable, who secured the role of Rhett Butler, spoke highly of her, while McDaniel's brother Sam reportedly enlisted Bing Crosby to sway Selznick's decision in her favor. Despite varying accounts of these efforts, McDaniel's audacious move during her audition, entering in a real maid's uniform, ultimately sealed her fate. Securing a role in Gone with the Wind was a pivotal moment for McDaniel, marking her first major breakthrough in Hollywood. However, the joy of success quickly turned sour. Criticism from black activists intensified, accusing her of perpetuating stereotypes by accepting servant roles rather than challenging perceptions of what black actors could portray. McDaniel's retort was pointed. I can be a maid for $7 a week, or I can play a maid for $700 a week. Yet, even with substantial earnings, the tensions on the set of the iconic film proved difficult to overcome. The filming of Gone with the Wind was notoriously turbulent from the start. Within 3 weeks, Selznick had fired the first director and brought in replacements, creating a chaotic atmosphere on set. For Hattie McDaniel and the rest of the cast, the grueling schedule under hot, uncomfortable costumes only added to the strain, leading to inevitable tensions. Despite the challenges, McDaniel and her fellow black crew members found solace in supporting each other through the long days. They often gathered to applaud each other after completing key scenes, boosting morale amid the exhausting production. However, not all relationships on set were harmonious. McDaniel's dynamics with her co-star Butterfly McQueen, who played the less prominent role of Prissy, were particularly fraught. While McDaniel publicly supported the film's portrayal of race relations, reassuring the public with statements like, "There is nothing in this picture that will injure colored people," McQueen held a starkly different view. This discord led to friction between them, exacerbated by incidents like McQueen deliberately flubbing her lines and challenging the lead actors. An especially tense moment arose when Vivien Leigh, in character as Scarlett O'Hara, accidentally struck McQueen too forcefully during a scene. Fed up with perpetuating subservient roles both on and off screen, McQueen demanded an apology from Leigh. As tempers flared, McDaniel intervened to defuse the escalating conflict, highlighting the complexities and challenges faced during the filming of this iconic movie. After Butterfly McQueen's outburst, Hattie McDaniel reportedly sought her out to calm the situation. However, McDaniel's response was contentious. Despite her loyalty to the film's narrative, she advised McQueen against stirring up trouble, cautioning her, "You'll never come back to Hollywood. You complain too much." This advice reflected McDaniel's belief in the Hollywood system, even amidst its flaws. As production wrapped on Gone with the Wind, David O. Selznick faced a significant dilemma. Hattie McDaniel's portrayal of Mammy was exceptionally compelling, nearly stealing the spotlight from Clark Gable's Rhett and Vivien Leigh's Scarlett. While this might have been beneficial for other films, it posed a serious problem for Gone with the Wind. The film's premiere was scheduled for Atlanta, where Georgia's segregation laws prohibited black actors from attending. Despite Selznick's efforts to secure an exception for McDaniel, the studio refused to support him. When word got back to the cast, something strange happened. McDaniel still maintained numerous friendships within the industry, including with Gone with the Wind's lead, Clark Gable. When he learned that McDaniel was barred from attending her own premiere, he reportedly contemplated boycotting the event in protest. It's said that McDaniel herself persuaded him to attend, urging him not to escalate the situation. Nevertheless, the controversy stirred considerable attention. Despite McDaniel's absence from the premiere, her presence was keenly felt that night. Shortly afterward, Margaret Mitchell, author of the Gone with the Wind novel, sent McDaniel a telegram lamenting, "Wish you could have heard the applause." While McDaniel initially played along, her patience was wearing thin. Just over a week after the premiere, on December 28, 1939, McDaniel seized her moment of victory. She proudly attended the Hollywood debut of the film, prominently featured with her face at the forefront of the program, a detail later removed from promotional materials. This marked McDaniel's true triumph. After the film's release, Hattie McDaniel received an electrifying nomination for Best Supporting Actress at the Academy Awards for her role as Mammy. This historic moment marked her as the first black person ever nominated for an Oscar, not just in acting, but across all categories. It underscored both the barriers within white society and McDaniel's undeniable talent and presence on screen. However, the Oscars were unprepared for the groundbreaking impact of her nomination. On the night of February 29, 1940, at the renowned Coconut Grove in Los Angeles, McDaniel made a stunning entrance that left attendees in awe. Transformed from her character, she arrived resembling a modern-day Cinderella, her hair adorned with gardenias, her face radiant, and her attire described by gossip columnist Luella Parsons as fit for royalty. Yet the most unforgettable moment was yet to unfold. During the awards ceremony, when the Best Supporting Actress category was announced, the name Hattie McDaniel rang out. Against all odds, McDaniel made history as the first black actor to win an Oscar. Overwhelmed with emotion, tears in her eyes, McDaniel delivered a heartfelt speech expressing, "My heart is too full to tell you just how I feel, and may I say thank you and God bless you." However, this poignant victory was not the conclusion of her journey, or her eventful Oscar night, as we shall soon see. Throughout the 1930s, Hattie McDaniel had dedicated herself almost entirely to her career. With her historic Oscar win in hand, she finally turned her attention back to romance in the 1940s. She met James Lloyd Crawford, a real estate agent, and they married in March 1941, hopeful for a loving family life ahead. Little did they know that challenges lay ahead. Having built herself up over a lifetime of hard work, McDaniel reached new heights of happiness. Then, in 1945, she revealed a remarkable secret to gossip columnist Hedda Hopper. At 51 years old, she and James Crawford were expecting their first child together. The news sent McDaniel into a whirlwind of excitement. After decades of focusing on her career, McDaniel embraced the prospect of motherhood wholeheartedly. She eagerly purchased stacks of baby clothes and lovingly prepared a nursery in their home. Yet, as time passed and the weeks stretched on, McDaniel couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. As the days passed without any signs of her expected baby, Hattie McDaniel realized something was gravely amiss. The devastating truth dawned on her. She had experienced a rare phenomenon known as a false pregnancy, where all indications pointed to a pregnancy, but there was no baby at all. It was a crushing blow that altered her life forever. Coming to terms with the heartbreaking reality that she wouldn't become a mother, McDaniel plunged into a deep depression and found herself unable to continue her marriage with James Crawford. In the same year she dismantled the nursery she had lovingly prepared, she filed for divorce and sought to rebuild her life independently. Yet, beneath the surface, there may have been darker reasons for their Hollywood split. Following her divorce, McDaniel made a poignant revelation. She asserted that it wasn't solely the loss of their anticipated child that drove them apart, but also Crawford's struggles with jealousy over her success and his inability to cope with the magnitude of her career. Despite the turmoil, McDaniel threw herself back into her work to cope with the aftermath of her broken marriage. Before long, she found herself starring in the popular radio show, Beulah, portraying yet another spirited housekeeper role. However, her path soon intersected with another man who would profoundly impact her turbulent love life. In the summer of 1949, amid her thriving career, Hattie McDaniel crossed paths with Larry Williams, an interior designer, and quickly found herself swept into a whirlwind romance. By June, they were married, and McDaniel believed this union would finally bring her lasting happiness. With a successful show, financial security, and a new partner by her side, everything seemed promising. However, cracks in their relationship soon became evident. Just 5 months into their marriage, McDaniel filed for divorce from Williams. The breakup turned acrimonious quickly. During the divorce proceedings, McDaniel testified that their time together was marred by constant arguing and fussing. While such conflicts might not seem sufficient grounds for divorce, McDaniel's emotional breakdown in court revealed a deeper, darker truth. Behind closed doors, the marriage of Hattie McDaniel and Larry Williams was reportedly fraught with turmoil. Hollywood gossip hinted at frequent physical altercations during their heated disputes, alongside significant psychological strain inflicted on McDaniel. Hattie McDaniel, known for her hearty appetite, saw a dramatic change after marrying Larry Williams. Their marital troubles took a severe toll on her, causing her to lose all interest in food and shed about 12 pounds in just 2 weeks. But weight loss was just one of the costs incurred due to Williams's actions. Despite his own successful interior decorating business, Williams preferred to dip into McDaniel's finances. He audaciously requested funds for a European trip, prompting McDaniel's sarcastic response, suggesting a bus ticket to Europe, Pennsylvania with $50. Yet parting with Williams proved more complicated than a jest about bus fare. Merely asking for money wasn't enough for Williams. He also aimed to manage McDaniel's career and proposed a joint bank account, a proposal McDaniel swiftly rebuffed. She asserted firmly, "I'm letting no man handle my bank account." The breaking point came when Williams actively sought to sabotage McDaniel's career. According to the actress, Williams was a cunning individual who, during their time together, maliciously undermined her work. His actions were particularly disruptive among her colleagues on Beulah, causing McDaniel considerable distress. She admitted, "I got so I couldn't sleep. I couldn't concentrate on my lines." With 4 failed marriages behind her, McDaniel sadly concluded that she would never have another shot at love. Around the time of her divorce, McDaniel received news that she would star in the television adaptation of Beulah. However, this came with mixed feelings. She was stepping into the role originally held by her friend and neighbor Ethel Waters, who had withdrawn from the show due to her objections to the black stereotypes it perpetuated. The challenges didn't end there. The U.S. Army declined to broadcast the show, fearing its potential negative impact on their black soldiers' morale. Moreover, despite her achievements, McDaniel continued to face criticism for perpetuating stereotypes by playing roles as household help. Many black actors and activists, including NAACP leader Walter White, criticized her choices. White favored stars like Lena Horne, who he perceived as more socially conscious and often lighter-skinned. However, McDaniel had her own legendary response to these criticisms. McDaniel may have cultivated a Hollywood image of enduring without complaint, but she knew precisely when to assert herself. She delivered a resounding rebuke to her critics. When Walter White organized a convention featuring prominent black actors, including Lena Horne and McDaniel's own brother Sam McDaniel, Hattie declined the invitation in spectacular fashion. After years of being typecast as a simplistic black woman, McDaniel didn't hold back in showcasing her sharp wit to Walter White. In her letter refusing his invitation, she bluntly stated that she couldn't attend because White had openly insulted her intelligence. She added, "God has endowed me with other talents, which Walter White and no other persons know nothing of, and they are not menial, as he has said." It was a clear shot fired. Despite her confrontations with figures like White, McDaniel reserved her sharpest criticisms for her true rivals. Despite her on-screen persona as a maid, McDaniel's personal life was surprisingly glamorous. In 1942, she purchased an expansive 17-room mansion in the area that would later be dubbed Sugar Hill, or the Black Beverly Hills. Her close friend and fellow actress Lena Horne described it as the most exquisite house I had ever seen in my life. However, scandalous rumors soon surrounded McDaniel and her mansion. Like any true diva, McDaniel reveled in hosting extravagant parties for her friends, with luminaries like Lena Horne, Clark Gable, Bing Crosby, and Paul Robeson mingling freely, ignoring any racial divides. McDaniel herself would often be seen gracefully navigating her party palace, accompanied by her faithful Dalmatians, embodying Hollywood glamour to the fullest. However, trouble was brewing yet again. Shortly after purchasing her home in Sugar Hill, McDaniel faced opposition from the wealthy white residents in the neighborhood who were concerned about property values with new residents who looked different from them moving in. McDaniel, undeterred, used her charisma to rally local celebrities like Ethel Waters and Louise Beavers to her cause and successfully countered their objections in court. According to her biographer Jill Watts, McDaniel's efforts marked the beginning of the end for residential segregation in the United States. Despite this victory, McDaniel's personal life continued to be fraught with challenges. In the early 1950s, despite a promising start with her television series Beulah, McDaniel's health took a turn for the worse. After filming only a few episodes, she fell ill and sought medical advice, receiving news that shook her to the core. According to medical reports, McDaniel was diagnosed with cancer, and doctors could offer little hope of prolonging her life. In 1952, she passed away at the age of 59. Her death prompted an outpouring of affection, with thousands of fans, friends, and admirers attending her funeral. Per her wishes outlined in her will, McDaniel was laid to rest in a white casket adorned with a white shroud, along with a poignant detail. McDaniel had specified that she be adorned with white gardenias in my hair and in my hands, together with a white gardenia blanket. This request held a deep significance. McDaniel had famously worn gardenias when she accepted her Academy Award. Yet even in death, she faced one final heartbreak. Despite efforts to honor her wishes, one request could not be fulfilled. McDaniel had desired to be interred at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, but like many aspects of her life, the cemetery was segregated at the time. Consequently, she was laid to rest at her second choice, Rosedale Cemetery. Hattie McDaniel was deeply cherished by many, both men and women. The star of Gone with the Wind forged fast and famous friendships with nearly everyone she encountered, including the notorious Tallulah Bankhead. Their closeness sparked gossip, with whispers suggesting McDaniel might have been bisexual. In her will, McDaniel left her Oscar plaque to Howard University, a historic black college in Washington, D.C. However, this gesture faced hurdles. Initially, the IRS claimed the Oscar due to her debts. Eventually, the award reached Howard University, but the plaque itself mysteriously disappeared in the 1960s or 1970s and remains missing to this day. But McDaniel didn't only leave behind a mystery, she also left a final touch of irony. McDaniel's marriage to Larry Williams was tumultuous, and the bitterness endured after her death. In her will, McDaniel left Larry Williams a rather pointed legacy, a grand total of $1. Hopefully, he didn't squander it all in one place, though it's likely he spent it on someone else. Hattie McDaniel shared a lifelong friendship with Clark Gable, though much of their relationship remains shrouded in mystery today. Despite Gable's threat to boycott the Gone with the Wind premiere in support of McDaniel, their interactions often had a lighter side. On one memorable occasion during filming, Gable mischievously swapped out iced tea for real brandy in a decanter, delighting in McDaniel's unwitting swig during a scene. Such pranks were part and parcel of their camaraderie. Reflecting on McDaniel's historic night at the Academy Awards, the gloss of triumph belies a harsh reality. The Coconut Grove, venue of the awards ceremony, enforced a strict no blacks policy and only allowed McDaniel entry as a begrudging favor. Yet, the indignities didn't end at the door. Inside, the ballroom had been segregated to accommodate McDaniel, forcing her to sit apart from her Gone with the Wind castmates. Her sole companion at the table was her white agent, William Meiklejohn. But worse was yet to come. Following the ceremony, McDaniel faced further humiliation when her castmates decided to celebrate at a club that barred black patrons. Despite her Oscar in hand, she was denied entry, leaving her nowhere to join in the festivities with her colleagues. In the face of such overt discrimination and the challenges she endured, Hattie McDaniel's legacy as the first black person to win an Academy Award remains both a triumph and a testament to her resilience. Her friendship with Clark Gable, marked by both camaraderie and unspoken barriers, reflects a complex dynamic in Hollywood's history. What do you think about their relationship? Did Gable's support truly extend beyond public gestures? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights into the untold stories of Hollywood's past. Until next time, stay tuned.